Hello. Here's my. I've been through quite a lot this evening, but here is my Nadine Dorries story. I know you've been waiting for it with bated breath, and I'm afraid in the end when it comes, I am really rehashing old stuff. But I was thinking, there's so many Nadine Dorries stories now out there, and I've trumpeted quite a number of them. One could almost make a book, sort of bedtime with Nadine, or Nadine does Boris, or whatever sort of imitations she wants to do. I have no idea. You can imagine the sort of illustrations on the front. The very hungry Nadine, and so on. Well, there we are. Now. Further to the story about the Tower Block of London and their response to Nadine's tittle-tattle during a serious investigation by the Committee for the Digital Culture, Media and Sport. And This is one of the committee meetings that actually sat, as opposed to the one which was supposed to be looking at reality TV and was curtailed because of the last election and never resat. Instead, they're taking up their time. They're wasting their time interviewing Nadine Dorries, which does seem to be a rather useless experience. So she explained. That there were a lot of actors involved in Tower Block of London, and the production company has come back and said this is complete rubbish, and Nadine Dorries is telling porkies. Well, that may well be the case. In the programme, she had an argument with one of the other cast members saying, and this was an argument about whether or not she employed any of her daughters, whether or not she employed two of her daughters in her office, in her parliamentary office, and she insisted she only employed one. Well, one at a time, one at once, and even then, she gave them a 15% rise, or a £15,000 rise. I'm not sure of the complete details. You'll have to check that. But she went on. She went on, and last year she seemed to have forgotten what she'd said, and the whole of that story line in Tower Block of London. And in attacking the BBC, she said, and I'm going to have to quote this, she said, if you want to get on in the BBC, you need to have a double-barreled name, or you need to have gone to a private or a public school, or your mum needs to know someone, or your dad needs to know someone, or you need to have a connection at the BBC. In other words, what she's saying is she's saying the BBC is built on nepotism. Well, you can say no to nepotism. I rather approve of saying no to nepotism, but Nadine Dorries has clearly employed her own daughters. So this is the pot calling the kettle black. It is a nonsense, and she is hypocritical to even raise this thing as some sort of failing of the BBC. Also, I don't think it really is a failing of the BBC, certainly not in its present incarnation. She went on to say that the BBC may not exist in 10 years' time. Well, that may be true of many of us. I'm sure her statement was more of a threat than a prediction of the future. I don't really see Nadine Dorries, for all her fanciful jibes, as being somebody who routinely reads tea leaves. But yes, I do see her, along with Priti Patel, as somebody who presumably makes threats and acts in a hostile way. Which one makes threats with more reason, I don't know. I leave that for others to decide, and whether or not they actually have any effect, again, I leave that for others to decide. But in this particular case, there's an instance of hypocrisy which I think is staggering, and well worth documenting and well worth commenting on. So please feel free to comment on yet another Nadine Dorries story. And as I say, I think in the end we ought to be marketing these stories as some sort of bedtime treat for children.